Good day, everyone. Again, I am Sir Roy, your science teacher, and for today, we're going to talk about organic compounds. But first, let us identify the most essential learning competency that will be covered by our lesson, and it is to recognize the general classes and uses of organic compounds. Let us start. Let us have first an activity. Is it organic or not? Look at the illustration presented in this slide. Let us name them one by one and identify if it is organic or not. Let's start with this one. It is a duck. This is organic. How about the next one? We have here banana. It is also organic. How about this one? We have rocks. These are inorganic. How about this one? There we have a sugar. It is organic. How about this one? These are tomatoes, and we can classify it as organic. We also have here a carabao, and it is also an example of organic compound. How about this one? This is a corn. It is also organic. And how about this house? This is not organic. So by having these particular examples, we can jump into conclusion that the living things are consist of organic compounds. Therefore, the chemical compounds of living things are known as organic compounds because of their association with organisms and because they are carbon-containing compounds. Now, let us have this one. What is organic? To a chemist, the term organic describes chemical compounds that contain carbon and other elements such as hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, or phosphorus. Let us have this particular example. As you can see, this one shows us an example of a sugar. And a sugar has a chemical formula of C6H12O6. The compound contains a carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Therefore, this one is said to be organic. On the other hand, at the grocery store, the term organic describes foods raised under specific conditions. For example, beef labeled organic is from cows that were not given antibiotics, growth hormones, or fed animal byproducts. All of the organisms pictured are alive and composed of organic compounds. Now, let us observe this particular figure. What did you notice about all the compounds that are classified as an example of organic compounds? Most organic compounds contain carbon, hydrogen, and sometimes other elements such as nitrogen, sulfur, oxygen, or phosphorus. Let us have an example. We have here water. As you can see, we have the elements hydrogen and oxygen in the chemical formula H2O. However, can we classify this particular compound as organic? The answer is no, because it is inorganic. As you can see, the compound water does not contain the element carbon, and it was not formed by living organism. That's why it is classified as inorganic. Another exemption. Let's have carbon dioxide. Is it organic? The answer is also no. It is classified as inorganic. As you can see in the chemical formula, it does not contain the element hydrogen. One molecule of carbon dioxide contains one atom of carbon which is attached to two atoms of oxygen. Now, let us identify the general classes of organic compounds. Organic compounds are called organic because they are associated with living organism. That is our main clue. Most of the foodstuffs that we consume every day, such as sugar, the fats, the starch, vinegar, and etc., are basically organic compounds. And we can trace back the origin of the word organic compound, which was coined by Jöns Jacob Berzelius in 1807. Now, let us identify the general classes of organic compounds. Let us name them one by one. The first one is carbohydrates. We also have proteins, the lipids, and nucleic acid. Let us discuss them one by one. To start with, let us have carbohydrates, or commonly known as the carbs. The carbohydrates are made up of the elements carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Now, how about the function of carbohydrates? It acts as a main source of energy. Plants and animals use it for structural purposes. Carbohydrates is also the largest class of organic compounds found in organisms. What are the classification of carbohydrates? The first one is the monosaccharide, meaning one sugar unit. Examples of monosaccharide are the glucose and the fructose. Another classification of carbohydrate is a disaccharide, meaning to say two sugar units. Example of disaccharide are sucrose, the lactose, and maltose. And the third classification is the polysaccharide, or it consists of a long chain of monosaccharides. Example of these are starch, glycogen, and cellulose. Now let us proceed with the lipids. Lipids are made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. How about the functions of the lipids? First, it stores energy for long term. And it also serves as for waterproofing covering. Fats stored in cells usually form clear oil droplets called globules. There are three major groups of lipids. These are the triglycerides, which includes the fats, the oils, and waxes. Triglycerides are the main constituents of body fat in humans and other vertebrates. It is also the type of fats found in blood. The second one is the steroid. These are chemicals, often hormones that your body makes naturally. They help your organs, tissues, and other cells do their job. And the third one is what we call as the phospholipids. These are class of lipids where molecule has a hydrophilic head containing a phosphate group and two hydrophobic tails derived from fatty acids joined by a glycerol molecule. Fats could either be classified as saturated or unsaturated. When speak of saturated fats, these are solid at room temperature, and these are bad for your health. On the other hand, when we speak of unsaturated fats, these are liquid at room temperature, and it's better for you to consume. Let us proceed to the next type of organic compound, which is proteins. Protein is consist of hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen atoms. What are the functions of protein in our body? First, it is for cellular structure. It controls substances in and out of the cell. And of course, it fights diseases. Proteins consist of chains of amino acids called peptides. What are the common examples of proteins in our body? The first example is the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the protein in the red blood cells that carries the oxygen to the different parts of the body. The second one is the insulin. It is a protein that controls the amount of glucose in your bloodstream. The third one is the myoglobin. It is a protein or an iron and oxygen binding protein found in the skeletal muscle and tissues of our vertebrates. We also have here collagen. It is the most abundant protein in the body. It is the main component of connective tissues such as tendon, ligaments, skin. We also have here the keratin, the type of protein that makes up your hair, your skin, and your nails. And the last example is what we call as the fibrin. It is a fibrous, non-globular protein which is involved in the clotting of blood. Now, let's move on to the last type of organic compound, which is the nucleic acid. These are molecules in our cells that direct and store information for reproduction and cellular growth. The types of nucleic acid are the ribonucleic acid, or also known as the RNA, and we also have the deoxyribonucleic acid, also known as the DNA. The DNA carries the genetic information for the cells, and a section of a DNA is what we call as the genes. On the other hand, the RNA molecules are directly responsible for the synthesis of protein. Nucleic acids are composed of monomer units called nucleotides. And a nucleotide consists of a sugar molecule, nitrogen base, and a phosphoric acid. Now, to check if you really learned from our lesson for today, let us have these exercises. For our direction, write in the space provided if the given examples or statement are classified as carbohydrate, lipid, protein, or nucleic acid. Let us start. Let's have number 1, sugar cubes. This is carbohydrate. How about number 2, wheat bread? This is also carbohydrate. How about number 3, a melted butter? This one is lipid. How or lipid? How about number 4, ribonucleic acid? Okay, we have nucleic acid. Number 5, virgin coconut oil. This one falls under lipid. How about number 6, deoxyribonucleic acid? Obviously, this one falls under nucleic acid. How about hair and nails that contains keratin? This one falls under protein. An insulin needed by a diabetic patient. This one is also protein. Number 9, sweet extracted juice from pineapple. This is also a carbohydrate. And number 10, earwax that protects insides of human ears. This consists of lipid. Very good. I think you really learned our lesson for today. So here is the reference that I made use for this presentation. Thank you for watching and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.